who aren't good at all. Yep. Let's see!
Great people who did some not so great things.
Oh boy,
Like,
let's get
very
into
not
it.
great. You'll see what I mean.
Very not great? Oh no.
First up, Dr. Seuss.
Oh
Turns
no!
out the man
What are
behind
they
Green
gonna
Eggs and
say
Ham
about
served up some
him?
seriously questionable behavior on the side. First, let's talk about Theodore Geisel's idea
Theodore
of royalty.
Geisel, that's
Yes,
his name?
that's his real name. While his first wife, Helen, was battling a debilitating illness and severe depression, Geisel decided that was a perfect time to have an affair.
Oh my
because nothing
god.
was tragically ending her life. And what did Dr. Seuss do in the wake of this tragedy? He married his mistress less than a year later.
Oh my god.
That's one way to process grief.
That's crazy.
But it doesn't stop there.
She
Before
murked
he was
herself.
rhyming about Loraxes and Sneeches, Geisel had a darker artistic side. During World
Did he say autistic or artistic there?
War II, he turned out a series of political cartoons that were blatantly racist,
What?
particularly towards Japanese Americans. He even supported the internment
Did he make them or was he paid to make them?
camps.
Because a lot of the government would go to artists to make political cartoons and stuff to get propaganda out.
It's hard to reconcile that with the guy who taught us that a person's a person no matter how small. And
It's
let's
true.
not forget the contradictions.
He said unless
This
they're
is the
Asian.
same man who later wrote stories about equality and acceptance, like the Sneeches. Which
Well, the thing is, we don't know if he actually, those were his views or if he was being paid or forced to do that. Because I think, wasn't there a thing, I could be wrong, but when they were trying to get people in the military, what is it, where they make you do it? What is that thing called again? What is that called? It's blank in my mind. The selection, you know, like the Hunger Games, they like make you do it. The draw, come on, it's edging me. The draft. I think during the draft, wouldn't they let artists make political cartoons? I could be making this up and crazy. I'm gonna look this up now. During World War II, the government did indeed commission artists to create propaganda. Was Dr. Seuss alive during World War II? Yeah, so that's my assumption.
carried a moral about rejecting prejudice. So, was it personal growth or PR redemption? We'll never know. But Horton hearing a Who suddenly feels a lot less heartwarming when you know what Geisel thought of real people. Next up, Einstein.
He likes the silly elephants,
The
but
fella
not
who made
not
E
Asian
equals
people
MC squared
apparently.
a household equation, and basically wrote the playbook for modern physics. But while he was busy unraveling the mysteries of the universe, his personal life was less
It looks like his little doodle guy has boobs there.
genius and more daytime soap opera.
I need to
start with his
sneeze, it's
first
still
wife,
edging me.
Mileva Marique. She wasn't just his
Mileva
spouse, she
Marique.
was also a physicist in her own right. Some historians believe Mileva might have contributed to his early
I need
breakthroughs,
sneeze.
including his groundbreaking theories. So how did Einstein
Still-
repair her? By treating her like an unpaid lab assistant, of course.
That's
While
crazy.
his name was going on papers and awards, hers wasn't even in the footnotes.
Damn.
And when their marriage started to crumble, Einstein did not try to fix things.
Damn.
Instead, he handed Mileva a list of conditions for staying married.
What?
This masterpiece of
That's
romance
crazy.
included demands
Masterpiece of
like,
romance.
you will not expect any intimacy from me, and you will keep the bedroom and study tidy. Because nothing says marital bliss like a man too busy for affection but very concerned about dusting.
Oh my god.
Eventually, she had enough and left.
Yeah, bye.
And
Leave him.
Einstein, did he reflect, grow, and try to be better? Nope, he turned around and married his cousin.
What?
Elsa. Yup, the same guy who reshaped the way we see the cosmos thought that keeping it all in the family was a perfect idea. Then, while married to Elsa, he didn't quite decide to walk a straight line. He had multiple affairs, often admitting to them in letters as if fidelity was some optional social experiment. Sure,
What?
the guy was a genius, but evidently,
Dickhead.
intelligence and emotional maturity are not related in any
Real.
way.
That's so
While he
real.
was redefining physics, he was also redefining what it meant to be a horrible partner. Winston Churchill.
Who's
You
he?
know him, the cigar
I don't
smoking,
know.
speech-giving British leader who helped
Oh,
save the world
I
in
don't know
World War
anything
II.
about British.
His never-surrender attitude kept Britain going when things looked hopeless. And honestly, he deserves credit for being a major reason the Nazis didn't win.
Oh,
But
good
here's
for
the
him.
thing. Churchill wasn't all speeches and glory. He made some really questionable decisions, and they weren't exactly tiny mistakes. Take the Bengal famine of 1943, for example. Millions of people in India died of starvation, and Churchill...
Okay, I just saw a video on the side called 4chan versus ISIS. Will I get in trouble for watching that video on stream? Is that something I can watch on stream?
But instead of sending food, he redirected supplies to Europe and let grain rot in ports. His excuse? He blamed the famine on Indians, quote-unquote, breeding like rabbits.
What?
That's not just insensitive, that is straight up cruel. While people were dying, their leader basically said, not my problem. Then
That's
there's the
crazy.
Tony Pandy riots in 1910, back when Churchill was Home Secretary. Coal miners in Wales went on strike for better pay, and Churchill sent in actual troops. These weren't violent rebels, they were just workers trying to survive. And the result was violent clashes that left a lasting scar in the community. Maybe sending in soldiers to deal with peaceful strikers was not the brightest idea. And let's not forget Dresden
Yeah.
in 1945. Churchill ordered the bombing of the German city, which killed tens of thousands of civilians.
Holy.
The city was practically leveled, and historians say it didn't serve much of a military purpose. It looked more like revenge than strategy.
Yeah.
Here's the deal. Churchill's leadership in World War II was incredible, and it's why he's remembered as a hero. But he also made decisions that caused a lot of harm. He wasn't perfect.
Stay away from 4chan and terrorism. Okay. But why? Why can't I watch 4chan versus ISIS? Now we have a big problem with 4chan and terrorism. Oh no. Can't talk about 4chan or terrorism nowadays. It's so fucked up. We live in such a PC society.
No one is. It's just funny how the history books don't spend that much time on this stuff. Moving on to Thomas Edison, the so-called Wizard of Menlo Park.
Wizard
He's
guy.
credited
Doesn't he
with
make the light
inventing
bulb?
just about everything. The light bulb, phonograph, movies.
You mean
But
movies?
here's the thing. Edison's real talent wasn't inventing.
It was singing.
marketing.
Oh.
Let's start with the light bulb. Edison didn't actually invent it. No, he just improved an existing design and got the patent. A genius?
Oh.
Sure. Original? Not so much.
Oh.
And this wasn't a one-time thing. He did it over and over again, taking credit for the work of people like Joseph Swan, who'd been working on
Not
light bulbs
Joseph
before
Swan!
Edison even got started. And then there's Nikola Tesla, the poor
Not
guy who made the
Nikola
mistake of
Tesla!
working for Edison. Edison promised Tesla $50,000 for fixing his machines, but when Tesla actually did it, Edison laughed it off and said, "Oh, that was just a joke." Can you imagine doing months of
What a dickhead! Kill! Literally kill him.
work only to get hit with, haha, just kidding.
Haha, lol.
But the real drama was the war of the currents. Edison was pushing for his direct current DC system, while Tesla's alternating current AC was gaining traction. So what did Edison do? He went full petty mode. He spread lies about AC being dangerous and
What?
even electrocuted animals, including an elephant, just to make his
No!
point.
Elephants are so smart. I saw a video of an elephant, like someone put their foot out and the elephant didn't stomp it, but then they put down food for him and they stomped it, which means it's conscious of what they do. And I heard a story of this elephant that killed a lady. He killed a lady, and then the elephants went to the lady's funeral and then attacked the corpse. And they're like, oh, elephants are evil and horrible. Turns out the lady was a poacher for baby elephants. I'd kill you twice too if you took my baby.
Yep, the guy who brought us the light bulb also brought us public animal electrocutions.
What the fuck?
What a legacy. So, was Edison smart? Absolutely. But let's not ignore the fact that he was also a ruthless businessman who didn't mind stepping on a few necks.
Ew.
Or electrocuting a few animals.
No! Do not do that
Next
to
up,
him.
Gandhi. The man, the myth,
No! They are not gonna make Gandhi evil. What?
the Atma.
No.
He preached nonviolent self-discipline and being the change. But
No.
his personal life and beliefs didn't always match the glossy image that history handed.
No.
Let's start at home. Literally. Gandhi's spiritual experiments involved sleeping next to naked young women, including his teenage grandniece, to test his chastity.
Oh.
Because apparently controlling your urges is easier with your relatives in bed.
Oh.
Unsurprisingly, his wife, Kasturba, wasn't a fan of his methods, or his controlling behavior. When she had pneumonia, Gandhi refused to let her take penicillin because it wasn't natural.
What?
She died.
What?
Meanwhile, when
He killed
malaria
his
struck
wife!
Gandhi himself, he took medicine without hesitation. Funny how his principles
guy.
only applied when someone else was suffering.
What a guy.
Then there's South Africa. While Gandhi fought for Indian rights, his opinions about black Africans were shockingly racist.
What?
For a man who preached equality, his actions suggested he wasn't interested in applying that philosophy universally. And let's talk politics. Gandhi's insistence on strict nonviolence during India's independence movement wasn't as noble as it sounds. While British forces were massacring civilians, Gandhi demanded restraint, even when fighting back might have saved lives. Some critics argue that his inflexible ideas
No
prolonged
violence,
suffering,
please.
making him as much of a roadblock as a leader. So, was Gandhi the saint he's made out to be? Not even close.
No!
He had ideas that changed the world, but behind the slogans and spinning wheels...
Do you guys remember that guy who blew up, where he would do, like, those philosophical, like, motivational videos? His name was Prince something. I don't remember. And he's like, yeah, you can change the world. And it turns out he was, like, a shitty person behind it. It was just a bunch of mumbo-jumbo to make people inspired and go, oh, I'm gonna share this.
Lord.
Same thing,
So,
but
Mother Teresa.
in
You've
the old
probably
days.
heard that she's the saintly figure who helped the poor and the sick, right?
Oh, no.
Well, not so fast.
Not Mama
There's a lot of stuff in her
Therese.
story that doesn't exactly scream perfect saint. Let's take a closer look. First off, her homes for the dying. These places were supposed to be about
Not
giving
Mama
sick people care,
Therese.
but in reality, they were more like suffering warehouses. People were lying on cots in pain, and there was little to no medicine to help them feel better. Needles, reused over and over. And Mother
Ew.
Teresa, she thought this was a good thing. She literally said, there is something beautiful in seeing the poor accept their lot, to suffer it like Christ's passion. Sounds wonderful, in theory, but not so much for the people actually screaming in agony. Then there's
Yeah.
money. There's always money.
I want to see her suffering and go, oh, this is what Christ wanted. Ew.
She was amazing at fundraising. Rich people couldn't hand over their cash fast enough. But where'd all that money go?
Oh, no.
Not to improving those
Oh,
homes.
my God.
Millions of dollars disappeared, tucked away in secret accounts.
You're
A
like,
former volunteer once said there was no transparency. Nobody knew where the money was going. That doesn't exactly scream responsible charity. She also had a few sketchy friendships. She accepted millions from Charles Keating,
I don't know who
a
he
guy
is.
who stole from elderly people.
That's who
When
he
someone
is.
saying, I do not know anything about Mr. Keating's business dealings. She knew enough to cash a check. Her advice to poor women? She went to places where families were starving and told them to keep having more kids.
Keep having more babies.
Imagine struggling to feed the kids you already have and being told it's your job to have more. Not super helpful. Having said all that, Mother Teresa did dedicate her life to helping the poor. She gave up personal comforts and worked in some of the hardest conditions imaginable. She brought global attention to the struggles of the poorest people on Earth. Her methods were questionable and
So
sometimes
did she
harmful,
actually help?
but her commitment was something worth recognizing. Let's call her a mixed bag. Next
Ah.
is John Lennon, Mr. Beatles.
Bro, this guy's a piece of shit. Oh my god, this guy's a piece of shit. Let's get into this.
So, the guy who told
Oh.
the world, give peace a chance.
Give
while
peace a
seemingly
chance. This
giving
guy's
no
a
one in his
dickhead.
personal life the
Fucking
same
hate John
courtesy.
Lennon.
For a man who preached love, harmony, and nonviolence, his real-life actions tell a very different story. First, let's start with his violent streak. Lennon openly admitted to physically abusing women, including his first wife,
Yeah,
Cynthia.
he hit his
He
wife.
confessed in a
He hit his
1980
wife.
Playboy interview that he was a quote-unquote hitter and had spent much of his early life consumed by uncontrollable anger.
I'm a
Cynthia
hitter,
endured
guys.
years of
I
emotional
should
and
promote
physical
myself as that. Yeah, I love my wives, but I'm a bit of a hitter with them. Punch, punch. I punch my wives.
abuse, which Lennon later tried to dismiss as part of his younger self. But let's be real, there is no excuse for that. And then there's how he
No.
treated his son Julian. While Lennon sang about peace and understanding, he openly neglected Julian after his divorce. In fact,
Why?
Lennon admitted that he had practically no relationship with Julian, and callously referred to him as an unplanned mistake, compared to Sean, his planned son with Yoko Ono.
That's crazy.
Imagine being a child and hearing your father say that.
Well, I hit my
Publicly.
wife, but I didn't mean
There's
it.
not just
I'm
bad
sorry.
parenting, it's
A
emotional
double.
cruelty on another
Double.
level. But Lennon's hypocrisy didn't stop there. He spent the late 1960s and early 1970s preaching world peace, but behind closed doors, his behavior was anything but peaceful. For example, his infamous 1974 Lost Weekend period,
They
where
did
he
so
separated from
many
Yoko,
drugs in the
was
Beatles too.
riddled
I
with
guess
drunken
everyone
brawls
did,
and
but
violent outbursts.
an
At one
unplanned
point, he
mistake
got
is
into a
crazy.
physical altercation with a waitress at the Troubadour Club in Los Angeles after being kicked out for heckling performers. Yeah, the peace icon punched a
World
waitress.
peace.
So yeah, he gave us
I'd
music
punch
that
a
inspired
waitress,
the
especially
world,
if she
but
got my order
his
wrong.
personal
Fuck you,
life
bitch. I
often
said I want
undermined
extra
everything he
ketchup,
claimed to
extra
stand for.
pickles.
He was
Where's
not
my
a saint.
pickles?
MLK, Martin Luther King Jr. The
No!
man, the legend, and the one whose I Have a Dream speech totally redefined history. But as we've seen, legends aren't perfect. That doesn't mean that MLK wasn't a hero.
That's the thing, yeah. I think a lot of these people have done many good things other than John Lennon. Fuck that guy. But they did good things. But we're all human. We're dynamic. We make mistakes. And even the greatest people can be the shittiest. Doesn't take away from the good things they did, but they can still do shit.
He was just human, with a few messy chapters in an otherwise extraordinary story. Let's start with his PhD dissertation. In 1991, it was revealed that a few parts of it were plagiarized. And not in a, like, whoops, I forgot a footnote kind of way. Entire sections were lifted from scholars,
I mean,
like Paul Tillich and
who
Edgar
wouldn't?
Whiteman. Now, in MLK's defense, academic standards back then were more like vague suggestions. Boston University investigated and decided to keep his degree intact, basically saying that he changed the world, so let's call it a mulligan. Okay, fair enough. Then there's
Yeah.
the FBI, led by J. Edgar Hoover, who apparently made MLK his personal obsession. They wiretapped him, followed him, and claimed he had extramarital
I love
affairs.
plagiarism.
Hoover probably had
No.
ulterior motives, like being a colossal racist.
What?
But the FBI didn't just pull these allegations out of thin air.
Wait,
Records
what? Did they
suggest-
say MLK was a colossal racist? What?
Hoover probably had ulterior
Hoover.
motives, like being a colossal racist.
Hoover, okay.
But the FBI didn't just pull these allegations out of thin air. Records suggest that MLK's personal life had its complicated moments, including relationships outside its marriage. Not ideal, but also not exactly an uncommon story for men under immense pressure and in positions of power.
Yeah.
But here's where it gets interesting. None of this dims his legacy. If anything, it makes it more remarkable. MLK wasn't some untouchable saint. He was a flawed, complicated man
He was
who
a
still managed to
person.
move mountains. Alright, JFK. The guy whose face is on half the schools and airports in America. But maybe it shouldn't be. Let's talk about the affairs. These weren't just harmless flings, but a pattern of reckless infidelity. Marilyn Monroe was the most infamous, but JFK's list of lovers extended to multiple women. The President of the United
The
States,
president of the United
during one of the
States.
most tense periods in global history.
Wait, is this a new person?
The
Judith? Okay.
JFK's list of lovers extended to multiple women, including Judith Campbell Exner.
Oh, we're on JFK? I missed a little. I zoned out. We're going back, chat. We're going back. We gotta go back. There we go.
If anything, it makes it more remarkable. MLK wasn't some untouchable saint. He was a flawed, complicated man who still managed to move mountains. Alright, JFK. The guy
JFK!
whose face is on half the schools and airports in
John
America.
fucking Kennedy!
Maybe it shouldn't be. Let's talk about the affairs. These weren't just harmless flings,
Wasn't he
but
with Marilyn
a pattern
Monroe,
of
or is that
reckless
someone else?
infidelity. Marilyn Monroe was the most infamous, but JFK's list of lovers extended to multiple women, including Judith Campbell Exner, who had ties to mob boss Sam Giancana. Think about that. The President of the United States, during one of the most tense periods in global history, was sleeping with someone linked to organized crime. This wasn't a personal indiscretion, it was a potential national security threat.
Yeah.
Then there's the sheer volume. Secret Service
was
agents
thinking
reported
it was a
smuggling
dick.
women into the White House, some barely vetted. Again, not a lapse in judgment, but a systemic abuse of power. While JFK was supposed to be focused on the Cuban Missile Crisis or civil rights, his attention was frequently elsewhere. Behavior that undermines the trust and integrity expected of a leader.
Women.
His affairs turned what was otherwise a celebrated legacy into
If
one
I
mired
was
reflections
the
about his
president,
judgment.
I'd also
We'll
want
talk
to have
about Walt
sex with
Disney,
Marilyn
the guy
Monroe.
who created the happiest place on earth.
Disney!
That is, unless you happen to work for him or share different political beliefs.
Did you know Disney has a rule where you can't wear your own undergarments? You can't wear your own underwear. They have underwear for you to wear. And they'll know if you wear it. How do they know? How do they know? How do they enforce this rule? Do they have a sniffer?
On the surface, he's all about magic and family values. But dig a little deeper, and suddenly things get less bibbidi-bobbidi-boo and more,
Bibbidi-bobbidi-boo.
yikes. First up, his ties to the Motion Picture Alliance for the Preservation of American Ideals.
Disney's
A
crazy, yeah.
far-right group so subtle they might as well have carried flashing neon signs that read, "We hate communists," and maybe a few other groups too. This wasn't a casual, "oh, I attended one
Maybe a
meeting"
few other
kind of
groups too.
situation. Walt was a proud member of this group, which was notorious for its staunch anti-communist stance. And by staunch, I mean they equated anyone wanting fair labor practices with a Soviet spy. The group also pushed anti-Semitic rhetoric, which, if you're running an empire based on inclusivity and imagination,
Not a good
isn't
look.
a great look.
Not a good
And
look.
speaking of workers, the 1941 animator strike showed Walt's true colors. When his employees asked for better pay and working conditions, he didn't, sprinkle magic pixie dust on their demands.
What the fuck?
Instead, he called them communists and radicals.
Get out of here, you
Then
filthy
made it his
commies! I'm not
mission to
paying
ruin
you
their
your
lives.
wage!
Think of him as the original villain in the fight for workers' rights, but
Oh
instead
my
of twirling a
God.
mustache, he sicked the House Un-American Activities Committee on anyone who dared to cross him. Walt's approach to unions and his far-right affiliations paint a picture that's a lot darker than the one on Main Street, USA. Yeah, he gave us Mickey Mouse, but for his workers, this could not have been further from a fairy tale ending. Anyway, YouTube thinks that you'll like this video next.
Wow!
So click it.
Thank you,
Also,
Kelvin. Kelvin Base. Wow! If you like this video, you should come hang out with me on Twitch and watch it live every day but Monday. Up there, see that? Click that. Click that. That'll bring you there. Click it. I'll see you there. Thank you. Mwah. And if you didn't click it, I'll get you next time. Wow!